Live pictures coming in of breaking news, and we're going to be watching this all morning. Workers who have been trapped more than 2 weeks in a collapsed tunnel are being rescued. Now, this has been a story we've been following for days. The 41 workers trapped, but now, finally, rescuers have been drilling and digging through rock and debris and have now reached the 41 trapped workers. So as we keep an eye on this, let me bring in our South Asia correspondent, Salima Shivji. She's watching the situation. In fact, I'm sure much of the country must be really captivated by this drama, Salima. As we watch the live pictures, what's happening on the ground as we speak today?
Well, Heather, there's a lot of nervous anticipation mixed with some relief. As you can see, the rescuers have reached those trapped workers, but the wait does continue since it is a complicated operation. The mother of one of the trapped men actually told a local news outlet that while she will be so happy to see her son who has been trapped down there for more than 2 weeks, she won't really believe it until she sees it with her own eyes. So, of course, this has been a very stressful time for the family members of those 41 workers who have been trapped in that collapsed tunnel for 17 days now, really only receiving, food, water, and oxygen through a pipe. And as well, family members only saw those trapped men for the first time last week when a medical endoscopy camera was also pushed down that pipe. So it's been a stressful time for family members waiting, but also for rescuers as they've been working on this rescue operation that has been painfully slow and really complicated. At first, a drilling machine, a giant earth boring machine was used horizontally, but that actually kept breaking down repeatedly. There were parts of that just couldn't get through all of the debris, and so that machine was incapacitated, basically. And then rescue workers turned to the more dangerous method of vertical drilling down to get to these trapped workers as the desperation sort of grew to make sure that these workers were okay. And then finally, rescue workers actually turned to a rather controversial method, basically removing debris manually and calling in a team of 6 so-called rat miners. Now, this is a controversial method, and it is actually banned, but it is still used in parts of India to remove coal down from narrow mines. So what happens is it's a very narrow tunnel that is used to bore down, and then another rat miner actually removes the muck by hand, and then another wheels it out on a trolley. So a sort of primitive method, but that has worked and worked faster than expected in this case. So rescue workers have reached the workers, but there is still a way to go in all of this. The workers are said to be in good health, but they will be taken out of that very narrow tunnel one by one, and they'll be strapped into a stretcher as they get taken out one by one. So it is expected to take at least a couple more hours before those family members get to see the men who have been trapped down there for 17 days.
So again, Salima, as you've been reporting to us, we've had a different live camera perspective. We can see the efforts going on inside. And yes, as you were mentioning, crews standing by to take those workers to hospital once they are eventually freed. And we'll keep an eye on that. The attention after this all comes to an end, hopefully successfully, how could this have happened? Will that be a focus for investigation?
Yeah, there are absolutely safety questions around these big construction projects that are happening, of course, deep in the Himalayas, where it is dangerous to be boring into, terrain that's not really solid. This is part of a flagship project that was really heralded by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It is to actually connect tunnels and underground networks to 4 very important religious pilgrimage sites. So this is a lot of money being poured into these construction projects, but several environmentalists and also locals have been saying that this is dangerous and actually damaging to the Himalayas, which is, there's not solid terrain there and there's a lot of erosion. Authorities have not said what have caused the collapse of this tunnel, but it is, of course, a region that is known for landslides and for major flooding. So there will be questions about that. There will also be questions about why there was not an emergency shaft to get workers out of this tunnel in case there was ever a problem. A shaft such as that was approved for this tunnel back in 2018, but it was never built.